To Catholic Chicago on WNDZ 750 AM. During the next hour, the Archdiocese of Chicago brings you programs about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Welcome to Catholic Chicago.
Good morning. Welcome to Catholic Chicago with today's special edition of Catholic Schools Today. Father Greg Sakowicz, the rector of Holy Cathedral. We are live streaming, but no need for me to be with a mask on today because my partner normally, Mark Teresi, is not here because being Catholic Schools Today, rather by phone from home, Dr. Jim Rigg, Superintendent of Catholic Schools here at Archdiocese of Chicago. Jim, I miss you here in studio, but we are really doing what I call social distancing from here to your home.
Absolutely. I wish I could be in the same studio with you again, Father Greg, but I know that it's not possible at this time. So it's great to at least connect with you over the phone this morning.
It's amazing that we were talking before the program started. The last time you and I were in studio together was the Monday around March 10th or 11th. Before that Saturday, March 14th, March 9th, and so every program since then, April all the way through December, I have been in the studio, you have been at home. And isn't it funny, it's not even funny, when it started back on March 14th and the stay-at-home was till April 7th, I thought to myself, okay, we'll still be open for Holy Week and Easter. Then it remained closed until June 15th, and here we are, Advent, moving to Christmas, and we're still with the pandemic, but thank God it seems to be a vaccine is on the horizon, like real soon, and hopefully we can start beating this virus.
Yes, fully agree. And of course, you know, Father, that we moved to virtual learning shortly after our last show face-to-face together there in mid-March, and we moved to virtual learning for the remainder of the school year. At the time, we thought it was only going to be like 2 or 3 weeks, but it ended up being much longer, obviously. And, of course, this school year, we have reopened all of our elementary schools for full-time in-person instruction. And so we now have almost a full semester under our belt of in-person instruction and implementation of all of the health and safety practices that have successfully protected our kids and employees this year.
Now, Jim, I have a question. When Thanksgiving came and went a couple of weeks ago, did some schools choose to go at home learning, or are they back in school?
Yeah, so we, right ahead of the Thanksgiving weekend, we did a pretty thorough survey of our students, our parents, and our employees, and we found that the vast majority wanted to remain in person through December. I know there were some worries about people who were traveling over Thanksgiving,
right, and
the need to quarantine for 2 weeks following that travel. And we'd really encourage, it's tough to do this, but we really encourage people not to travel. The CDC and other health agencies have said it's just not safe right now. And obviously there's an impact on people's ability to come back in person. But based upon survey results, we did allow about 20% or so of our schools to move to virtual learning for, 1 week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks between Thanksgiving and Christmas. So we do have a set of schools right now that are learning virtually, especially this week. Virtually all of those schools are learning online this week. But still, the vast majority of our schools are in person this week. There's still widespread support for in-person learning. I receive a lot of praise for how things are going in our schools, and that's very nice. But the real credit goes to our teachers and principals and school staff members that have worked so hard with their students this year to make sure that all of our health practices are in place. The masks, the distancing, all of the cleaning, all of the immense amount of work that's been required this year, but it really has paid off.
Jim, I'm not sure people are aware of just how much work principals, administrators, teachers, the faculty, everyone, because being the rector of the cathedral, when there was shut down and the reopening, everything is double work because you are creating the wheel. You're creating, you're going, you're doing as you're going along, and there is no playbook.
Well, and we have about 18% of our students learning virtually the full year. So we allowed families to choose an online learning option. And so many of our teachers are teaching kids both in person and virtually simultaneously.
It's double.
Which is effectively doubling their work. And again, our teachers have been so just grace-filled and courageous and heroic this entire year. They've just done such great work. And so so much credit and praise goes to them and to other school employees.
Now, I know, of course, Jim, you have children in the system in the Archdiocese for Catholic schools. I don't mean to get personal, but now for your children, what's been the hardest adjustment for them? Because I was talking to my brother last week. I said, Adrian, to be in grammar school, high school, or college today would have to be so hard because things we take for granted, playing football, going to a basketball game, socializing in the classroom, in the cafeteria, sports during the lunch period. I mean, just the normal things we do, weekend activities. For young people, this has to be such a tremendous, hard adjustment.
Yeah, so I do have 4 kids, 2 at a Catholic high school, 2 at a Catholic grade school, and in talking to them, I think they've done remarkably well with the health and safety requirements. And after you wear a mask for a few days, you kind of get used to it. I think the greatest sacrifice for them, if you were to talk to them, has to do with the extracurricular activities. So as you said, not being able to participate in sports. My kids are musical, so not being able to play in the band or do the theater program, it's a sacrifice. It's tough this year. And schools have been very creative in offering those types of activities virtually, but it's just not a normal year. And I do think there's great anticipation for a vaccine and hopefully a return to normal life. Yeah,
I think that as we're moving forward, I predict it'll be kind of a tough winter because it's going to get colder. People are indoors. But once spring hits and then new life and warmer temperatures, I think we'll see some changes there. But people have truly sacrificed. And I know for you, you have spent many long hours with your administration, with your teachers, with your principals in the Archdiocese, and you have done a magnificent job for in-person learning. But it's wearing. It has to be wearing on you, Jim.
I can sense it. I think we're all ready for Christmas break. But I will say this. We just got our first round of standardized assessment scores. We have an assessment out there called the iReady, which is administered 3 times a year. And we just got our fall scores back, and they're very, very strong.
Good.
And especially compared to national norms, particularly public school districts that were learning virtually, we're doing very, very well. We haven't lost any of our learning. We're continuing to grow and push our students academically. And those scores, to me, were really affirming of our decision to offer in-person learning this year. We do deeply care about the academic growth of our students, as well as, of course, the social and emotional and especially spiritual growth of our students. But it was neat to see quantified evidence of our hard work this year through that assessment.
Yeah. And I think when you also talk about people are getting kind of worn down, I think for many, many people, myself included, Thanksgiving was not the same. Did not meet with my family.
No.
And the same thing will happen for Christmas, which has never happened in my entire life. That's happening for many, many families where instead of being 20 people, it'll be 7. Instead of being 10 people, it'll be 2. And that's what we just have to kind of endure. We're going to go to break here. I'm speaking with Dr. Jim Rigg, Superintendent of Catholic Schools, the Archdiocese, co-host on the program Catholic Schools Today. We'll be back after a break here, 312-255-8408, 312-255-8408 on WNDZ, 750 AM. Stay with us, and again, do not touch that dial.
Throughout our nation and our world, people of all faiths have recently been joining fervently in all kinds of prayer. They have found that coming together in prayer is a source of comfort and strength. In this spirit of unity, the Archdiocese of Chicago has introduced a call to prayer, a telephone line dedicated to prayer. If you would like to join with another person in prayer, call 312-741-3388. This line is staffed from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. daily with parishioners from across the Archdiocese of Chicago. These volunteers are here to listen to you, offer support, and pray with you. A call to prayer includes a 24-hour voicemail and email options as well. Experience this wonderful opportunity to join with people just like you who trust in the power of prayer. That phone number again is 312-741-3388. Let's pray together today. Catholic Charities' celebration of giving is underway, and we need your help more than ever. Now in its 73rd year, the celebration of giving was started by a group of adoptive parents who wanted to buy gifts for children who had not yet been adopted. This wonderful idea spread at Catholic Charities, and last year, 25,000 gifts were given to people who would otherwise have nothing to open Christmas Day. Our online partners make it easy to donate toys. Gift cards are so appreciated by teenagers, too. Gather your friends, family, colleagues, and neighbors and join this huge, awesome outpouring of kindness that is filled with the spirit of Christmas. To learn more, visit CatholicCharities.net/celebration or call 312-655-7401. Thank you from everyone at Catholic Charities.
Welcome back to Catholic Chicago with today's special edition of Catholic Schools Today on WNDZ 750 AM. Our phone number 312-255-8408. Father Greg Sackles along with Dr. Jim Rigg. And Dr. Jim Rigg, that was a very interesting first segment we talked about because it's so much on people's minds regarding coronavirus, the COVID-19. And so the reality is it's with us now. But I keep telling people God is with us. And God will see us through one day at a time, and this will end. But we have a tremendous program lined up, so I will turn it over to you to introduce our first couple of guests.
Happy to, Father Greg. And again, I regret that I am not face-to-face with you today, but hopefully sooner or later I'll be able to be back with you in studio to co-host the Catholic Schools Today radio show. But in the meantime...
But Jim, right now I'm waving to you on here we are live streaming. I'm waving to you, Dr. Jim Rigg, and all the people who are viewing this morning. Greetings.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Greetings. But still happy to introduce our first couple of guests in our first segment. So, Father Greg, in the first segment, we were talking about how our teachers and principals and staff members have truly gone well above and beyond this year in their service to their students in this pandemic. And I think we have in our first segment a wonderful example of a teacher who has gone above and beyond. I was really pleased to see recently this teacher featured on the CBS Evening News, the national news, for something that occurred just a short time ago. So this teacher is John Little. He's a first-year teacher at St. Mary's School in Buffalo Grove. And during a recent virtual learning day, he was teaching his classes remotely when he had to evacuate his home due to a house fire. John and his family quickly left their home, and he taught his next class from his neighbor's front yard. So he literally kind of grabbed his computer, went to his neighbor's, went on Wi-Fi, and continued teaching in spite of the fire happening.
Well, the house is on fire.
So
that is beyond amazing.
As I said. Yes. So happy to welcome via telephone John Little, who is a social studies and religion teacher at St. Mary's School in Buffalo Grove, along with the principal of St. Mary's, Miss Chris Gritzmacher. Good morning. Are you there?
Morning. Glad to be here.
Good morning, John. Good morning, Chris. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Great.
John, when I got the rundown for today's program and I read that, I thought to myself, that is beyond unbelievable. So maybe just for a moment to tell our listeners what happened on that morning.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was with my homeroom, teaching them some social studies. We were just going through the material when all of a sudden my brother comes into the den where I'm working, and he says, "Hey, we got to evacuate the house." And I turn around. At first I was wondering, like, what's going on here? But then I see, like, a lot of smoke coming up from around my living room, and I just immediately closed my laptop, got outside. I think I kind of heard the kids when I was closing my laptop. There was a lot of confusion there. I didn't give them any kind of notice. It was just really quickly get out of the house. And unfortunately, I got my laptop, but I forgot to get the shoes and coat on, so it was definitely cold out there. But I managed to get across the street to my neighbor's house, where they were kind enough to offer me their Wi-Fi. And luckily, the fire wasn't anything major. Very minimal damages. We're very thankful for that. So they were able to take care of that, the fire department. Well, I kind of was able to log back on with my students, and they said, "What's going on?" And I'm like, "Oh, my house is on fire."
Just
And
another typical day of the week.
Yep, just another day in the office, right? And to their credit, they showed a lot of concern. They managed to stay calm. They were obviously very surprised by that. That's not something you typically hear at Monday, 10 a.m. But throughout the day, they did a really nice job just emailing me, checking in. They asked for pictures of the damages, so I made sure to post them. And then I had to do my fourth-hour class outside just because the fire department was taking care of all the damages, making sure the house was safe to go inside. And that was really when I was starting to get really cold out there. I was sitting on my neighbor's backyard without any shoes or a coat, so I credit those kids. I probably wasn't fully focused on the lesson, but they did a good job just going through and also showed a lot of concern. And then thankfully the fire was very minor, so by the time I had my lunch break, I was able to get back inside with some heating and just go on with my day.
Do you actually taught class with no shoes and no coat?
Yes.
Outside?
I didn't even think about it until I was outside for a few minutes, and that's when I started to get really cold at first.
And this was like in the last couple of weeks, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, I believe, 2 weeks ago.
So we're talking the end of November, early December.
Yes.
Now, just for out of curiosity for our listeners, what was the cause of the fire?
So that's a good question. It was in a really random spot of the house, the bottom part of the porch. We think it might be the Christmas lights, except they're hung above, so I don't know how the spark would have got down there. But it is a 100-year-old house, so it could have just been some wires or something that created a spark, and it just spread really easily, is what we're thinking.
It's a pretty incredible story, and as
Wow.
I said from the outset, was happy to see this featured on the CBS National News, so you've garnered some good attention. This has been such an unusual year for everybody in Catholic education, though, of course, this is a very unusual situation that you had to face. John, tell us just a little bit about this year. I mean, you're a first-year teacher. What has it been like to enter teaching for the first year amidst the pandemic?
Yeah, so it's definitely been a year I'll never forget. From the day one, what I really credit our staff here at St. Mary's, everyone I talked to was super helpful. They gave me all the materials I need. They've always asked, "Hey, if there's anything you ever need, please let me know." It was a really welcoming environment. Obviously, it was not anything what I anticipated my first year teaching. We can't do so much group work or mixed desks, and the teachers have to travel around instead of the students, so there's a limited amount of things we can safely do when it comes to teaching while maintaining safety protocol. But overall, I would say we've managed to turn the situation into something positive. Our team here really has, I believe, created a pretty positive environment for the students given the situation. I think most of the kids we have enjoy coming to school every day. And other than I think the masks was something that initially they had a little bit of struggles on, but pretty much every week it just becomes more and more normal. And I think we've done a really good job just turning this unprecedented situation into a pretty good success.
Now, Chris, I have to ask you, how many years have you been principal at St. Mary's?
This is my second year.
So even for you, you start a year ago, normal situation, but then this past summer, I take it back, your first year, the closure happened in March, which was part of your first year.
Right.
So this has been an incredible change for you. I mean, you are pretty much a brand new principal, And in your first year, you're hit with COVID-19 through the spring, through summer, into the fall. So in all honesty, this has to be very hard on you.
Well, I'm not a new principal. I've been doing this for about 40 years. I've been in
But you sound like
education
about
for 40
29 years old. Wow.
Okay, great. I've been principal for about 25 years, and I retired from working in the public school system, and of course knew that I would not be retired for long. Hoped to be an interim principal, and then decided, just go back full time. So that's what I have done, and that's why I've been at St. Mary for the past 2 years. But I do have a lot of experience, and I can share that this year has been very unique in all of the years. When we trained to be educators, and all the different case scenarios that we plan for as leaders and principals, this is something that we could never have imagined.
Now, have you also found, Chris, like as a fact, I'm the rector of the cathedral, and you are a principal, so that as we moved into COVID-19 in the spring, with the shutdown, at-home learning, the amount of work needed to make this huge transition from the classroom to e-learning and move it into the summer, into the fall. Again, of course, you're back in school right now, but haven't you found that the work has been terribly magnified in all that you do?
It really has. Last March when we left, we had a plan, for snow days and what we would do, because we wanted to have the kids continue to learn and not just shut down if we had those cold days and snow days. So we took that plan and started to work with it. We were shut down on a Friday. We started e-learning on a Monday. So the teachers and I were learning how to do this as the students were learning. So it was really a challenge. And we learned a lot from that experience. But then this fall, or summer to fall, has been even different than that, because we have over 60 of our students whose families are choosing to continue e-learning.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have about 230 students in the school. So we're overseeing the e-learning and the education of the students right here in school. We're
going to go to a break here on Catholic Chicago with today's special edition of Catholic Schools Today. WNDZ, 750 AM, 312-255-8408. Father Greg Sakowitz, Dr. Jim Rigg, and our guests are Chris Gritzmacher and John Little. Stay with us, and again, do not touch that dial.
When you think of the word neighbor, warm and friendly thoughts come to mind. Think of smiles across the yard, positive wishes, and looking out for one another on an ongoing basis. Catholic Charities' Neighbors in Need Fund inspires all of these and much more. We've seen an unprecedented number of requests for assistance this year from people who have never needed help before. When you make your gift to the Neighbors in Need Fund, you are igniting hope in the lives of your most vulnerable neighbors, especially individuals and families who continue to struggle to put food on the table and keep a roof over their heads. Your gift will give them the resources they need to overcome the unexpected, very serious circumstances in which they find themselves now. Give online at CatholicCharities.net or call 312-948-6087. That's 312-948-6087. Catholic Charities Neighbors in Need Fund. Thank you for helping build a world of kindness, one neighbor to another.
We invite you to watch Catholic Chicago this weekend, featuring a conversation with Cardinal Blaise Cupich and video highlights from across the Archdiocese. Here's host Todd Williamson.
Catholic churches respond as the need to feed the hungry surges in the COVID-19 pandemic. Pope Francis's new encyclical and the call for mutual respect for all cultures. And a local priest ready to run even when the Chicago Marathon is canceled.
Watch Catholic Chicago Friday at 7 p.m. on Chicago Loop Cable, Channel 25, and Sunday afternoon at 3 on the Comcast Network, Channel 100.
There's nothing like having a friend to talk to when things are not going well. And in these challenging days, everyone has had moments when they are discouraged, sad, or worried. Catholic Charities wants you to know that we are here. If you or someone you know would like to share your concerns with a professional, call 312-948-6951 anytime, day or night, and you will be connected with an experienced counselor who will listen without judgment and offer compassionate, confidential advice that you can trust. That phone number again is 312-948-6951. Before, during, and after COVID-19, Catholic Charities is here for you.
Welcome back to Catholic Chicago with today's special edition of Catholic Schools Today. Father Greg Sakowicz and Dr. Jim Rigg. The time is exactly 8:26 on this Monday morning. By the way, the Bears finally won a game. Folks, the Bears are not real good, but Houston's even worse. And but at least a win is a win is a win. So Dr. Jim Rigg, take it over.
Happy to. So before the break, we were talking with two individuals from St. Mary's School in Buffalo Grove, Christine Gritzmacher, the principal, and John Little, social studies and religion teacher. And John, that was just an incredible story about your house fire and your dedication to your students and running out and continuing virtual learning from your neighbor's front yard. Just a really neat sign of the dedication of all of our teachers and staff members this unusual school year.
You know, Jim, I've been a priest now 41 and a half years, involved with Catholic schools. I've never heard a story like that. That is,
well, here's the question, Father. If you were in the middle of a homily and there was a fire, would you run outside and continue it? And would anybody follow you?
Unless they run out before my homily starts.
Well, why don't we broaden the scope of the conversation a little bit? St. Mary's School is a wonderful school and offers so much to the students and families there. Chris Gritzmacher, tell us a little bit more about some of the other things happening at St. Mary's this year.
Okay, well, we have a very unique opportunity. I'm sent a lot of emails, and sometimes they're, advertising. And I got one from Pauline Books and Media and Sister Helen Rita Lane. And this is an amazing project that we have been offered. At first I thought this sounds too good to be true, so I checked it out with some of our leaders in the Archdiocese, and they said, yes, in fact, this organization is very legit. So there is a anonymous donor who gives each fifth grade student $50 cash, and what they are to do with this money is they are to think about and write about and select an individual person that they feel is in need. And they are asked to approach the project as a friend of Jesus reaching out to another friend of Jesus. So this is the Friend of Jesus project. And it's in its 11th year of operation, and I guess from what I've read on the letters they've sent me, is that over 5,000 Catholic school fifth graders have participated and experienced the joy of giving at Christmas through this project. So our students just found out last week that they're going to be involved in this, and it's just so cool.
So, Chris, let me get this right. Every fifth grader in your school is receiving $50 for this project.
Yes, in an envelope just for them, $50 in their hands.
That's an amazing amount of money.
Yes. And when you think that there are 5,000 Catholic school fifth graders over the last 11 years who have had the opportunity to experience this, who is this fabulous donor? Now,
that's amazing.
Yeah, this donor felt that fifth grade, I think that something must have happened in their fifth grade year. And they felt that fifth grade is really the time to involve the students in this project.
I'd be surprised as these children grow up, they in turn will not pass it forward with an idea similar to that, remembering their own fifth grade. That's right. A great story. Now, for a moment, John, we were talking during the break here. There's a program that you are heading up called like a reverse Advent program?
Yes. So the assistant principal here at St. Mary's actually sent it out to all of the teachers, and I decided to try to pick it up for my religion class. I remember one of my favorite memories of going to church in Advent time was getting those Advent calendars, and there's chocolates that for some reason they're some of the best chocolates I've ever had. But I think that this reversed one, when I was taking a look at it, it just seemed like a really cool thing to do, because as Christians we should be giving back to our communities. And what it is each day of Advent, students are supposed to bring in a specific donation for a food bank. Like December 1st was a box of cereal, December 2nd was peanut butter, and then it just goes down the line. What it's looking like so far is students aren't exactly following the calendar so much as they are just donating the food, and I told them that that's absolutely still in the spirit, just giving back to those in need. I think it's a really important year and important time to keep that in mind.
So is the food collected then in your room or something?
So the food's currently in my room, and I will send it down to the office along with the other teachers who are doing it, and I believe it will be donated to a local food shelter.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, that's great to hear. This is a wonderful time, the season of Advent, to remind students of the importance of giving back to those around them. And both of these projects are wonderful examples of, inspiring that spirit of giving within young people. It's important, and it's an essential part, I think, of an education in a Catholic school, that commitment to service, that commitment to helping those around us, particularly during a very difficult year. Chris, before we get too far in, I want to give you a chance to mention St. Mary's and your contact information. We know we have a lot of families out there beginning to look around for a school next year. And just as a reminder, we do have a very active website for the Archdiocese, archchicago.org. And if you click schools on that website, you can be taken to a school finder, put in your zip code, and you will see Catholic schools around you. There are 199 Catholic schools in the Archdiocese. You can't go wrong with any of them. And whether you're looking for an elementary school or a high school, I'd encourage you to take a look at that School Finder website. But Chris, why don't you give us the website and the phone number for St. Mary's School?
Okay, so this is St. Mary's School in Buffalo Grove, and the website is school.stmarybg.org.
One more time, Chris.
School.stmarybg.org.
And how about a phone number?
And the phone number is 847-459-6270. And we are actually accepting 5th and 6th graders in January. If there are families who want to have their child come to St. Mary right now, we can get them in January.
How about the phone number one more time, Chris?
Okay, 847-459-6270.
Jim, ask another question. We still have time.
Oh, happy to. So let's go back to John for a little bit. John, we talked earlier that this is your very first year in teaching. I always ask this question of new teachers. Tell us why you decided to become a teacher and why you decided to teach at a Catholic school.
So that's a good question. When I was in school, I was a pretty good student. However, I was someone who often needed to be motivated by teachers in order to be successful in grades. And often teachers' enthusiasm really rubbed off on me. I noticed that I don't think it's a coincidence that I teach social studies. A lot of the teachers I connected with, pretty much all the way from middle school up until high school, were social studies teachers. And I've always been someone that wanted to kind of make a difference in the world somehow, and I feel like teaching is a great way to do that. I'm not someone who could really work in an office building, so it's definitely good that I have a job that I can kind of roam around, interact with people day in, day out. And why I chose a Catholic school, I actually went to a Catholic school in Roselle, Illinois, St. Walter.
Sure.
Grades 1 through 8. So when I applied to St. Mary's, I remember talking about this in the interview. I said it would be really cool to kind of give back my positive experience at a Catholic school to the students we have here in Buffalo Grove.
Many years ago, I was near you, probably before you were born. I was at the Church of the Holy Spirit in Schaumburg, and which is the Archdiocese of Chicago, and you border on the Diocese of Joliet over there. now, of course, in Chicago. And just in the last minute, Chris, what got you into education and then in the whole sense of becoming a principal, which is a certainly different ball game than being in the classroom with the children?
Well, again, things happen for a reason. I was going to school in business, and I have a friend who was working with a kindergarten classroom in the summer, and she went on vacation and asked me to cover. And there was a student who was a selective mute, and I was crawling around on the monkey bars with him. He hadn't talked to anybody, and he talked to me. And I said, okay, that's it. I'm going to be a special educator. And then I talked with the principal at one point, and I'm like, wow, she is so wonderful. She's so delightful and just loves her school. I'm going to be a principal, too. So it all happened like in the matter of a week.
That's amazing. Now, people have said in my life, and you hear it all the time, oh, what a coincidence. So someone may say of you, Chris, oh, what a coincidence you became a teacher, a principal. But the best definition of coincidence I ever heard is a coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous. It's a wonderful principle, a wonderful definition of coincidence. Well, what a coincidence. No. For the believer, it's the hand of God weaving through our lives. We need to bring this to a close. I want to thank in a very special way Chris Gritzmacher, principal at St. Mary's School in Buffalo Grove, and John Little, social studies and religion teacher, who I've never heard this before. His house starts on fire, or the porch does. He takes his laptop outside, no coat, no shoes, and keeps teaching. And he was on the national news on CBS some time ago. So may God bless both of you. Have a blessed Advent, Christmas, joy, and health into the new year. You're listening to Catholic Schools Today. Father Greg Sakowicz, Dr. Jim Rigg, 312-255-8408 on WNDZ 750 AM. Stay with us, and again, do not touch that dial.
Catholic Charities After Supper Visions program offers guests of our Tuesday night supper the opportunity to learn the art of photography. These talented guests, who are often experiencing homelessness, are offered disposable digital cameras, and they work with volunteer professional photographers to learn the basics of taking photos. Then the artists go out and capture images on film of anything they find to be beautiful or interesting in the world. Their photos are amazing. Visit AfterSupperVisions.com to learn more about the artists and their artwork. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn too. At After Supper Visions, we are developing film, talent, and hope. It has been inspiring to see how individuals, families, and communities have found ways to help one another throughout 2020. At Catholic Charities, we usually have 35 to 40 events a year where we gather and enjoy time together in support of important programs and services, while raising critical funds that allow us to respond to the growing number of people who are in need of the most basic necessities in life. Many of our events are now virtual. If you would like to be a sponsor for one of these events, please call 312-948-6864. That's 312-948-6864. Also, visit us at CatholicCharities.net/events and follow us on social media too. We so look forward to when we can resume our events in person and reconnect with our friends and partners throughout Chicagoland. For now, please consider donating to Catholic Charities so our vital work can continue. Thousands of people in Chicago count on Catholic Charities every day. Please help us help them today. Learn more at CatholicCharities.net.
You're listening to Catholic Chicago on WNDZ 750 AM. Every Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., the Archdiocese of Chicago presents programming about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Thanks for letting us be part of your morning. Now again, Catholic Chicago.
Father Greg Sakowicz, Dr. Jim Rigg, who's the superintendent of Catholic schools to the Archdiocese. And you were saying, Jim, during the break to me, the Denver Broncos did win yesterday?
Yes, my home team, football team, or hometown football team did win yesterday. They beat Carolina. They've had a rough season, I think, like the Bears. What was it, 2 weeks ago, where they didn't even have a quarterback that could play. They lost all three of their quarterbacks because of a COVID infection issue.
Yeah.
Yep. And
now,
they,
the Bears are now
lost
6-7. What's Denver's record? Are they about 5-8 or 6-7?
Yeah, it's like 5-8. It's a little worse than the Chicago Bears, something like that. So I'm not holding out any hopes for any playoff appearances, but this has not been their worst season either.
Here's the thing, though: is the very fact the NFL is able to play any games this year is amazing, and they're trying to keep it together. But I'm going to let you introduce the next guest for the second segment of our program, Jim.
Very happy to on this socially distant co-hosting role that I have. We mentioned during the first part of the program that there are such great advantages to having students in person in our Catholic schools this year. And one wonderful example of that is at Most Holy Redeemer School on Chicago's South Side. So the students at Most Holy Redeemer are continuing to grow through in-person instruction, grow academically, emotionally, socially, and spiritually. And recently, the students in the second grade received a special gift from St. Nicholas. They received some Bibles and candy and other gifts, and they also recently made their first reconciliation. And then eighth grade students are preparing for their confirmation and had a service opportunity with local residents who are homebound. And so to talk about these happenings and others, we're very happy to have on the phone Miss Susan Duffy, who is the principal of Most Holy Redeemer this year, along with Jerry Tilkes, who's the second grade teacher, and Leanne Arifas, who is the director of religious education. So Sue, Jerry, Leanne, are you there with us?
We are here. Yes, good morning.
Good morning, everybody. How are you?
We're good. We're good. Happy to be in school.
And so you are in school learning at Most Holy Redeemer?
We are. We have been doing in-person learning since the start of the school year. Yes. Yes, we have. It's been challenging, but we are happy to be here, and the kids are happy to be here, too.
Now, Susan Duffy, as the principal, how many years have you been principal there?
This is really just my first year. I got thrown in sort of unexpectedly. I've been the assistant principal here for many years, and this is my 20th year at MHR.
Well, in your first year as principal with COVID-19.
Yep, it's been interesting, but we have a great staff here. A lot of people been here for many, many years, and so we have a great team.
And Jerry, how long have you been teaching second graders at Most Holy Redeemer?
This is my second year for second grade at Most Holy Redeemer. I was a fourth grade sub for a while, and I taught at St. John Fisher for years.
Sure, another neighboring Southside parish.
And came back.
And Leanne, how long have you been the director of religious ed?
I just started in May of this year, so I'm a newbie.
So all of you really have come into a time where COVID hit, and yet you have moved forward, and I'm sure doing a tremendous job. But as I was talking to Dr. Jim Rigg before the program and to our last guests, all the work that this has created, it's like, we're creating as we go along. There's been no playbook for this, but somehow great things are happening at Most Holy Redeemer. And tell us about the second graders receiving special gifts from St. Nicholas, Bibles, and candy. Tell us more about that.
Okay, this is Jerry, and we've done this for years. My mentors, Mary Beth McKinnon and Gina Pakelka, started this years ago, and they've both retired. But so on the eve of St. Nicholas, we put Bibles out on their desk with a candy cane, with a little poem. So when they come into school on St. Nicholas Day, they're surprised with their Bible. And it typically happens right after they've made their reconciliation, and then right before we're preparing for their communion. They're all feeling very holy, and their halos are nice and straight and bright, and they just love getting the Bibles, and they think it's very exciting.
And now for Leanne, the eighth graders receiving sacrament confirmation when?
We are scheduled for February 28th.
And what bishop is coming?
Bishop Casey.
Oh, Bob. In fact, Bishop Bob Casey, I recruited him, I take it back, when I was on the faculty at Niles College Seminary, starting in 1985. Bishop Casey was then an 18-year-old college freshman, and I was his priest dorm director.
Oh,
And Bishop Casey he's now the chancellor, the vicar general for the archdiocese, and doing a marvelous job. So you'll be very blessed to have Bishop Casey for the confirmande that day.
We're looking forward to having him.
Jim, you can take it over from here.
Yeah, happy to. I was going to share somewhere deep in the dark corners of the internet is a picture of me dressed as St. Nicholas giving out gifts back in my days as a Catholic school principal. So if you can find that, good for you. It's out there somewhere in cyberspace.
Now, Jim, about what year was that photo taken?
I don't know if I should share because it'll make it easier to find, but it was probably it was in the kind of early mid-2000s, so probably 03, 04, somewhere in that time frame when I used to dress as St. Nicholas and deliver gifts to our I think I went through all of our younger grades. I don't think I went to the older kids, but it was kind of first, second, third grade. Those age levels.
Now,
a wonderful experience.
I need to share this
I'm always surprised at how many students don't know about St. Nicholas and don't know about the connection between St. Nicholas and gift giving at Christmas. So it's a great educational moment.
It's a great teaching moment. Jim, I hate to interrupt you, but I have to tell this to Susan, Jerry, and Leanne that I've been doing this program for years now with Dr. Jim Rigg, and he's a great, great superintendent. But Jim has shared with me more than once he misses being a teacher in the classroom. As much as he loved being a principal and superintendent.
I loved being a principal.
Yep,
and
me too.
I never thought I'd end up as a principal, much less a superintendent. But like everyone, I think we always have to listen for the calling of the Holy Spirit and go where we feel God is calling us.
And the same thing for you too, Susan. You miss being in the classroom.
I do. I miss being with my kids. I was lucky enough. I taught third grade many years here, and I taught all of Jerry's kids. All 5 of her kids were in my class, and I always would say to them, once a room 10 kid, you're always room 10 kid. And I do. I miss being with my kids, but it's been an interesting year for sure.
And on that
Dr.
note,
Rigg, feel free to come dress up as St. Nicholas and pass out candy canes anytime you want.
Anytime you want,
I
Jim.
find my costume. I don't know where it is.
I hope it still fits. Jim, on that note, take us to break.
Oh, sure. We've got much more to talk about here with 3 great educators from Most Holy Redeemer School. So stay tuned. Do not go away. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes here on Catholic Schools Today, WNDZ 750 AM.
Catholic Charities staff members work every day to end poverty and homelessness. We do this on a one-to-one basis with anyone who asks for help. We also work with organizations who study these issues across our city, state, and nation. The Wilson Sheehan Lab for Economic Opportunities, or LEO, at the University of Notre Dame is one of these research centers. Through our partnership with LEO, Catholic Charities has gained valuable insights into scientific evaluation methods that determine the most effective interventions to help people avoid poverty and homelessness. Along with our experience and compassion, trusted research is helping Catholic Charities offer hope and so much more to anyone in need. For more information, visit CatholicCharities.net.
We invite you to watch Catholic Chicago this weekend, featuring a conversation with Cardinal Blaise Cupich and video highlights from across the Archdiocese. Here's host Todd Williamson.
Catholic churches respond as the need to feed the hungry surges in the COVID-19 pandemic. Pope Francis's new encyclical and the call for mutual respect for all cultures. And a local priest ready to run even when the Chicago Marathon is canceled.
Watch Catholic Chicago Friday at 7 p.m. on Chicago Loop Cable, Channel 25, and Sunday afternoon at 3 on the Comcast Network, Channel 100.
Catholic Charities Divine Affair home tasting parties are going virtual. This year marks the 20th anniversary of Divine Affair, the elegant wine tasting event that benefits our self-sufficiency programs. Low-income single parents with dependent children are trying to break the cycle of welfare and poverty. Today, the need is greater than ever as the COVID-19 pandemic has left thousands of newly struggling families in need of immediate assistance. You can easily coordinate a virtual wine tasting and help Catholic Charities at the same time. Each guest will enjoy a sample wine kit that includes wine and a guide, all courtesy of Lewis Glen's Wines. You can gather your friends and family for this fun event or incorporate a celebration for a birthday, anniversary, or engagement at the same time. To learn more about a virtual home tasting party and how you and your guests can win fabulous raffle prizes, call today at 773-756-6937. That's 773-756-6937. Cheers!
Welcome back to Catholic Schools Today, a special edition of Catholic Chicago here on WNDZ 312-255-8408. Father Greg Sakowicz, co-host Dr. Jim Rigg. And Dr. Jim Rigg, I'll let you take it for the home stretch.
Happy to. So we are talking with three educators, the principal, the second grade teacher, and the director of religious education from Most Holy Redeemer School about many of the great things that they are doing there in spite of the ongoing COVID pandemic. And I know in the first segment we talked a bit about the distribution of Bibles and candy to second grade students as part of a St. Nicholas Day celebration. Would love to now focus a bit more on what the eighth graders are doing for their confirmation. Leanne, I know that they recently participated in a service opportunity with local residents who are homebound. Love to hear a little bit more about that and how you adjusted that opportunity in light of the COVID pandemic.
Sure. So we, because of COVID, service opportunities are very limited this year. And our youth minister had put me in touch with a nonprofit downtown. And they, part of what they do is they find housing for young adults between the ages of 25 and 35 who are not quite ready to be on their own living. And so there are actually 4 houses within Evergreen Park where we are, who house these individuals. And so last year, our youth minister had an in-person party for the holidays. And so she got me in touch with the woman from this company, and we decided to make a service project opportunity out of it. And I looked for Christmas light donations on social media and was floored by the number of donations we received. And so we went last Sunday morning and decorated the students and a couple parent volunteers at a social distance point, and we decorated the outside of the house with Christmas lights. And then later in the afternoon, we set up a Zoom Christmas party with some of our students and parents, and we played virtual bingo and a virtual scavenger hunt with the residents. And we were blessed to have people donate money so we could order pizza and dessert for the residents. And when that was being delivered, a group of us walked over and we started Christmas caroling and rang the doorbell from a distance. And the residents were just thrilled beyond measure, dancing on the porch. And it was just so nice to see the joy that brought to them, because due to COVID, most of them have jobs, but because of COVID, they are not able to leave the residents.
Now, Leanne, who was dancing on the porch?
The residents.
They were.
They were. And, I mean, to Silent Night, it was quite, yes. It was, and we sang 4 songs.
I've never seen Silent Night people dance to that.
And they did it, and they did it well. And we were so happy to see them so happy. It was a great opportunity. And so we're very excited that we're probably going to do it for the upcoming holidays such as Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day, and to do a little something to bring them some joy into their lives.
That's great.
That is a great story.
Maybe back to you, Sue. Why is service, particularly with junior high age kids, so important?
Well, at that age, I think that the kids are starting to see there's more to the world than just their own little spot. They're starting to understand that there are people out in the greater world who need something. They might need just friendship. They might need assistance with the task. They might need donations of some kind. And as they're preparing for their confirmation, that's a great opportunity for them to kind of step out of their own little bubble and start to see, hey, there are things in the bigger world that I can have a positive impact on. And we have always had a lot of good opportunities for service. Our kids have done a lot of things, but it's been so much more challenging this year. So our middle school religion teacher and Leanne have really been encouraging the kids to kind of be creative and look within their own neighborhood to see what they can do. People who need help in their neighborhood, go shovel a walk, go rake a leaf, do things like that without being asked, without being paid, because they can't do some of the things that we normally would do, go to Ronald McDonald House and prepare a meal, or gather together and make sandwiches and blessing bags for the homeless shelter in Robbins, which is not too far from us. So they've really been trying to be creative to find things, but the kids always love it when they do it. Sometimes they're like, oh, another thing you're making us do, but they always come back after doing any of these activities and go, wow, that was really cool, and I would like to do that again. And it opened my eyes to needs of other people and not just myself.
Now, Jerry, just in the last half minute, what's been the most challenging aspect with COVID-19 be teaching second graders?
Wait, I'm sorry, I didn't hear your question.
What's been the most challenging aspect of teaching second graders with COVID-19?
Well, all of it.
Yeah, all of it. Yeah, it's like herding kittens.
It's hard. We can't, I can't call them up in groups. I can't give them a hug. We can't, do. When we go out for recess, we have to still be socially distanced, and there's just so many things we can't do because we have to,
you guys social distancing.
Apart.
Yeah, it's been hard.
But I will say, the kids handle it better than the adults. I think they've been absolute troopers. They don't touch their masks. They keep them on. They keep their distance. They are doing whatever they are being asked to do.
I like your comment. I think the children are just better than the adults. We need to bring the program to a close. I want to thank in a very special way Susan Duffy, the principal of Most Holy Redeemer, Jerry Tilkes, second grade teacher at Most Holy Redeemer, and Leanne Arethas, the director of religious education at Most Holy Redeemer. To Susan, Jerry, and Leanne, thank you very much. Did a great job this morning. Great work of our co-host, Dr. Jim Rigg. Jim, I miss you here in person in the studio, but one day we'll be reunited in the studio here. Special thanks to our producer, Jasmine Kiddos, our engineers, Michael May, Javi Garcia. To all, God bless, stay healthy, have a wonderful week.
Thank you.
Join us every Monday through Friday at this time for Catholic Chicago. You can stream our programs live or listen to past programs by visiting our website, archchicago.org, and clicking on Radio TV. And please connect with Catholic Chicago on social media.